They came to the other side of the sea, to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, immediately a man from the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. And the man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with chains. For he had often been bound with shackles for the feet, and with chains, and he tore apart the chains, and broke the shackles into pieces, and no one was strong enough to subdue and tame him. Night and day he was constantly screaming and shrieking among the tombs and on the mountains, and cutting himself with sharp stones. Seeing Jesus from a distance, he ran up and bowed down before him in homage. And screaming with a loud voice, he said, "What business do we have in common with each other, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God, swear to me, do not torment me." For Jesus had been saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." He was asking him, "What is your name?" And he replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he began begging him repeatedly not to send them out of the region. Now there was a large herd of pigs grazing there on the mountain. And the demons begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, so that we may go into them." Jesus gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out of the man and entered the pigs. The herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea, and they were drowned, one after the other, in the sea. The herdsmen, tending the pigs, ran away and reported it in the city and in the country, and the people came to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the man who had been demon-possessed, sitting down, clothed, and in his right mind, the man who had previously had the legion of demons, and they were frightened. Those who had seen it described in detail to the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told them all about the pigs. So the people began to beg with Jesus to leave their region. As he was stepping into the boat, the Gentile man, who had been demon-possessed, was begging with him, asking that he might go with him as a disciple. Jesus did not let him come, but instead he said to him, "Go home to your family and tell them all the great things that the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." So he obeyed and went away and began to publicly proclaim in Decapolis, the region of the 10 Hellenistic cities, all the great things that Jesus had done for him, and all the people were astonished. When Jesus had again crossed over in the boat to the other side of the sea, a large crowd gathered around him, and so he stayed by the seashore. One of the synagogue officials, named Jairus, came up, and seeing him, fell at his feet, and begged anxiously with him, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Please come and lay your hands on her, so that she will be healed and live." And Jesus went with him, and a large crowd followed him and pressed in around him from all sides. A woman in the crowd had suffered from a hemorrhage for 12 years, and had endured much suffering at the hands of many physicians. She had spent all that she had, and was not helped at all, but instead had become worse. She had heard reports about Jesus, and she came up behind him in the crowd, and touched his outer robe. For she thought, "If I just touch his clothing, I will get well." Immediately her flow of blood was dried up, and she felt in her body, and knew without any doubt that she was healed of her suffering. Immediately Jesus, recognizing in himself that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in around you from all sides, and you ask, 'Who touched me?'" Still he kept looking around to see the woman who had done it. And the woman, though she was afraid and trembling, aware of what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith, your personal trust and confidence in me has restored you to health. Go in peace and be permanently healed from your suffering." While he was still speaking, some people came from the synagogue official's house, saying to Jairus, "Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher any longer?" Overhearing what was being said, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, only keep on believing in me and my power." And he allowed no one to go with him as witnesses except Peter and James and John the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue official, and he looked with understanding at the uproar and commotion, and people loudly weeping and wailing in mourning. When he had gone in, he said to them, "Why make a commotion and weep? The child has not died, but is sleeping." They began laughing scornfully at him, because they knew the child was dead. But he made them all go outside, and took along the child's father and mother and his own 3 companions, and entered the room where the child was. Taking the child's hand, he said tenderly to her, Talitha cum, which translated from Aramaic means, Little girl, I say to you, get up. The little girl immediately got up and began to walk, for she was 12 years old, and immediately they who witnessed the child's resurrection were overcome with great wonder and utter amazement. He gave strict orders that no one should know about this, and he told them to give her something to eat.